Absolutely unacceptable. It's absolutely and totally unacceptable. You don't do that. You don't do that in football. You don't do that in life. And I believe the authorities will actually take up the appropriate measures, and I'm sure it's going to be dealt with according to the law.
Later on CNR Extra, independent power producers threaten power supply cut to National Grid on July 1 and demand interim payments.
You know, we are very much aware of the consequences, very much aware of the impact this will cause, but the fact is that we are just unable to continue our.
Once again, you're welcome to CNR Extra here on City TV. You can join us with your thoughts, submissions, and comment via WhatsApp line 0204447033. We're also streaming live on YouTube. You can join us there on City Tube. Jude Mensah Dankad, you're welcome to the show. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great, Philip. Always a pleasure to join you on here.
We're starting rather on a sad note.
Very unfortunate, very sad. I mean, it's very heartbreaking, and our sincere condolences to the family. I'm sure we'll come back to look into the issues.
The police has launched investigation into the incident that happened at Ablekuma Family Junction yesterday. That has to do with the robbery or the attack on a bullion van leading to the death of an officer. Let's bring you that insight.
Now back to the national capital. Police are on a manhunt for 4 armed robbers who attacked a bullion van at Ablekuma Fan Milk Junction. The incident has left 1 police officer who was accompanying the bullion van dead, while residents in the area are traumatized by the shooting incident. There is more in the following report by City News' Daniel Sakiti and read by Ni Ayikwe Okai.
According to eyewitnesses, the shooting incident took place between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. as normal business activity was ongoing along the Ablekuma Fan Milk Junction and Ablekuma Curve stretch. The bullion van, with registration number GT 1254-10, was shortly attacked after it had been trailed into the fuel station by the 4 armed robbers who were on motorbikes. They immediately began firing warning shots while they moved towards the bullion van and shot the police officer. The armed robbers made away with an unspecified amount of money, according to eyewitness. An eyewitness who runs a business in the area has been speaking to City News.
We have 1 to 2 more, 130 to 2 more. I'm the same to okay, so I'm a cemetery. Until the one say, pew. The was something when in a year, near who's I'm Robert Nabaho. Into no name who dear, into preparing who's a backo, a 50 inside Robijina, and Nimha, no on Shamas, on Shafi. Did them just say to no 10 or 20 or 2 or 2 left, right, into a Tuyama bulletin iron, SI, and no sign you from Kutukuno clock here, and no sound to Tuya until the moon said, well, we're inside her. Now, Bako, a kita, says Sako, a bagu. Now, I'm going to fire. And I'm going to motor. So, tell me, you're rushing. Now, I'm going to do. Your baby, I don't want to say, oh, free Ablekuma Junction, where we found Galilee. No more to Galilee. And I'm going to call you. Oh, and new seconds. Operation, and new seconds, no more operation.
Another eyewitness who had also gone to the fuel station where the shooting incident happened to purchase fuel says he narrowly escaped death as the armed robbers shot through the windscreen.
Me ta to fuel wa no. Wo ma me ta be to fuel wa. Nti me hu say me fuel na abadan. Nti me du ha no no na me there me rem na private car foforo to so rem. Ono me nya na rem ba me na me ye first terminal. Na ono di second terminal. Nti guy ni serve me wie no. O serve me wie na ya kan sen me this kind of man into o ma me change all of a sudden me find say 2 minutes and white car no bank car no bullion van be remu 1 minute and I who say motor su then aba be remu a omo a warning shoot in fact me cry nya adwane the say na 22 kono masa me so na me ni tre this side into na yes na me then me boost it na me then me dem the story ni nyina no me car me windscreen no.
Residents in the area have been left traumatized by the incident and are calling for the perpetrators to be brought to book.
Very traumatized because he saw my face, he pointed the gun at me, he shot, and then the next attempt he realized that he didn't have bullets. Randomly. No caught, he cannot do something.
And that's a very sad one there. But the police has launched investigations into the incident. Also, the fuel station that the incident happened, that is Star Oil. The company is sympathizing with the family of the deceased police officer. But, Jude, this is a very sad one because it's not like we haven't witnessed this before. We've seen it, one at Adedimpo in say Jamestown, in the Greater Accra region here. Another, I think, along the Winneba.
Let me help you. 500,000 was stolen. From the police that they mistook the ambulance for a bullion van. The driver, Abraham Tete, was killed in the process. March 2022 in Spintex, a bullion van driver was assaulted after another attack on a bullion van. And in May 2024, armed robbers attacked the bullion van in Techiman. And of course, the very famous one leading to the death of a police officer.
So I was building the point that that is not something new.
Yeah.
So there are measures that have been put in place, or we've had come to a position where we know what is supposed to be done.
Yeah.
To ensure that the lives of police officers and these incidences are prevented.
I mean, Philip, it's always very difficult when you have to talk about issues, and of course, very fatal ones about people who put their lives in harm's way for our sake, right? So every time you have to come here and discuss the death of a security officer, it's very difficult. And even before I go on, our sincere condolences and sympathies really to the family of the late police officer who lost his life. I understand his name is Amwa. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine the grief and the pain they are going through, especially considering the fact that, I mean, he's a breadwinner for his family and the circumstances leading to which he died. I'm sure for some family members, they probably have heard the news on social media even before the police officially briefed them. So it is very devastating news. I mean, the conversation, like you said in your introduction to this, it's been something that has been going on for God knows how long, right? And bullion van robberies is not something that just happened over a period. I mean, the most recent one in the timelines I've mentioned was from May. The earliest one was from May 2020 up until last year, March, which shook the entire country because of the brutality involved in the fatal killing of the police officer. Conversations have been had, timelines have been given. The only problem is that we always fail to adhere to these timelines, right? So today on the City Breakfast Show, Godfred Akoto Boafo was making a point about how, to a very large extent, the Ghanaian society has what he calls a relapse of amnesia after very deliberate policy discussions. So we'll discuss it very eloquently, we'll discuss it with a lot of pomp and pageantry, right? Then at the end of the day, when it's time to implement, then that's where we lack. I choose to call it, in the words of Martin Luther King, a high blood pressure for creed, and basically no no effort at actually implementing it, right? So it is unfortunate that we allow this to fester over and over again. We've heard from the Bankers Association what ought to be done in terms of providing proper bullion, armored bullion vans in that regard,
the pickups
with the necessary features and technology, in that it will not be easy for a robber to open the bullion van unless, of course, the person inside opens it. These are the things that we should be taking preeminence in the conversation. I mean, I don't want to delve into specifics. We've seen the videos, but we don't have enough information yet to speak on to some of the issues, because in some of the videos we saw that in the video that's been circulating, we saw them indiscriminately shooting. You can't really tell if there was a gunshot that led to the door opening, but what we could see was the forceful opening of the door. And there have also been calls about how maybe the police service should probably offer some side guns along the rifles we see them with. So I mean, it's unfortunate that we talk about
the side guns or the rifles. Was the police officer or the police officers who escort these bullion vans, are they well, let me say, in their apparel? Let me put it that way. So with their helmet, with the issue of the
bulletproof,
and all that. I'm sure that if these things were given, say logistics or attire and all that, it could save the situation.
Yeah, I mean, some other people and even some security experts who've been speaking on this since the news broke out talk about the fact that if you look at some very gory videos that have been circulated on social media in the aftermath of the killing of the police officer, you could see a lot of bleeding on his side. So clearly it was a wound on his body. And for which reason, if it was probably
in a bulletproof
yes, or geared up properly, for want of a better word, it probably would have helped in the situation. These are all very legitimate issues that should be brought up to the table. But I mean, Philip, the most important thing is that all stakeholders coming on board, national security, and the police themselves, the handling of this. Philip, briefly on this, then we move on. You recall when in March last year, a similar issue happened leading to the death of the police officer. I mean, the news came out that some people, including police officers, had been arrested for their involvement in the series of bullion van attacks as it had come to be known at the time. Someday we woke up mysteriously and some police officers had killed 2 suspected police officers,
including
and some civilians who were believed to be part of this whole bullion van robbing syndicate. So I mean, and it was so abstract. It happened just out of the blue. So I think the police also need to do some introspection themselves. It's a multi-stakeholder approach. Like I said, the national security is involved, the police should be involved, Bankers Association. Why have we not met our timeline in providing fortified armor bullion vans? So it's unfortunate. We understand that the new timeline or deadline is on July 2023. For which reason, every bank should be able to provide a bullion. I mean, you look at some of the profits they report and how what they use as bullion vans transporting money around, and you ask yourself, why do we subject our police officers and drivers to these very difficult situations? So it's unfortunate, it's very heartbreaking, and we hope that this is a starting point for proper reforms in the way we transport money around.
So we hope that the police will take you out of this, because should anything happen, there are men that suffers, and the men are people's fathers and breadwinners in various homes. So if they are not protected, and this doesn't become the last time for us to see this, then where are we going as a country? So certainly something needs to be done about this particular situation. But away from this story, 4 persons, including a 6-year-old boy, have died after they drowned in a separate incident following Wednesday's downpour in the Ashanti region. Let's bring you that insert.
4 persons, including a 6-year-old boy, have died after they drowned in separate incidents following Wednesday's downpour in the Ashanti region. The bodies were recovered by officials of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, at Atafua, Sepase and Tafo. City News' Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani reports.
Wednesday's downpour, which lasted for close to 3 hours, flooded many parts of the Ashanti region. but luck eluded 3 persons who drowned in separate incidents at Atafua, Tafo, and Sepase. NADMO officials collaborated with officials of the Ghana National Fire Service and some community members to recover the 3 bodies. But on Thursday morning, one other person who tried to find his brother who drowned in the Wednesday's incident also drowned and died. His body has also been recovered, bringing the number of persons who died as a result of the downpour to 4. The Ashanti Regional Director of the National Disaster Management Organization, Frank Diodu, confirmed the incident to City News.
We have one at Tafo, where a 6-year-old boy, whilst it was raining, his ball got into the rain whilst he was going to pick it up. He was carried away. Then at Tafwa, a young boy, 47 years, also got there. Whilst people were waiting for the river to come down before they could cross, he decided that he would do that on his own. Carried his bike. Then by the time he realized, he was washed away together with the bike. And the third one was at Sepase, the CNC. There is a bridge there, which one also challenged, use a motorbike to cross while the place has flooded. These were the 3 incidents that we did received at this early morning, where by 7-something, 8 o'clock, I had then received that of the Tafo. Before 10 p.m., I had also received that Tafua's own. Then this morning, I realized that of the Sepase. So the men were there to do the search and rescue, as the usual thing that we do together with fire. In getting to Atafua this morning, we were told by the chiefs that there is a need to perform some rites. So they poured libation and did some works. They drew our attention. Even some of my guys had then gone far to the upper stream, still on the search. But there are 3 streams that meet at the Atafua bridge there. Only for them to be called back, that they shouldn't try and go far because of what the sacrifice that they are doing. When they finished, the family of the deceased, the one who was carried away last night at Atafua, when they finished, we were told, the person who poured the libation told them that no, it has not been accepted and they can't go on the search and rescue. But a family member, which is the elder brother of the one who was carried away last night, decided that he would. Because I'm sure in his mind he was thinking, yesterday rain was so much, and in the morning, once it has come down, it will be easy. He got in less than 10 seconds. He was also nowhere to be found. That is in the Atafua forests, the downstream side of it.
He also expressed concerns about the attitude of members of the general public in contributing to the flooding within the region.
But they look at the stream, the strength of it, before they construct the bridge. The bridge is not just being constructed that you go then you put it up. But those people that they expect, that they've encroached the banks, that they know the activities is causing the flooding, will then come and say that the engineers and contractors did not perform. That is not the case. Let us do our individual path.
The bodies have all been deposited at the morgue, awaiting autopsy. Hafiz Tijani, City News, Ashanti Region.
So the National Disaster Management Organization has cautioned the public that anytime it's raining, we should be very careful as to where we go or where we drive through or where we walk, which is very important. But we say that these individuals that have lost their lives, we sympathize with the family. But this is just the sort of like the beginning of the rainy season. So if actions are supposed to be taken, i.e. the silting of drains, we citizens also having to take our own safety into our hands and ensure that the right thing is done so that we protect ourselves from these things, because it's not something that is going to end anytime soon,
Philip,
so far as the rainy season is concerned.
I mean, it's with regret when I say that we as a people have not learned anything from that June 3rd, 2015 flood and fire
we keep saying that
disaster. I mean, we clearly haven't learned our lessons well at all. And the problem is even getting worse by the day, if you ask me, because of the fact that now, after even a 15 minutes downpour, the whole street is flooded. You could talk of Taifa in Sawom, you could talk of Kaneshi, you could say same for Madina. It's literally a ticking time bomb. Now, 4 people have lost their lives as a result of drowning.
Enough, in the Ashanti region, weren't you recording these things?
And now we are recording them.
It looks like the numbers are increasing, settlement and all that.
It's unbelievable. And for me, my heart bleeds when it rains during the day and I see school children. So from the office where I sit, I mean, if I pull the blind, I can see the road, and a lot of the time around 2 p.m., 3 p.m., you see school going children, walking, play, going back home. And I mean, now in the rainy season, I worry every time it's raining and I see them walking through the rain, going back. I'm like, anything at all could happen because our cities, our towns are not being planned properly. And of course, there's a human element, like I was saying yesterday, where residents fail to also do the basic. I mean, you see people throwing rubbish on the street. Not too long ago, somebody was arrested by the police after, on the orders of the Greater Accra Regional Minister, after he was seen throwing rubbish on the road. People are building in waterways. All of these things contribute to the problem. But like I said yesterday, the buck stops with the local authorities and by extension government. Government should be the one leading the whole process in finding an end to the incessant floods. I get that even very developed cities, like we see in Tokyo, like we see in London, will occasionally flood. But our problems is to a large extent man-made. And I believe that with the right technology, with the right consultation, and with the right approach, we should be able to see some lasting solutions with regards to Accra's perennial flooding problem, because it's literally a ticking bomb. And if we don't take care, it will be a very disastrous end. So we are praying that we don't get there, but it shouldn't be only faith, but it should be backed with a lot of works in that government takes the lead in trying to fix the problems for us.
Rightly so. So yesterday, in Parliament, the Works and Housing Minister and also some department were asked to tell us what exactly they are doing to battle this flooding situation. But I think that they will come out to their response as and when we get it from Parliament. But let's move away from this story. And Charles Bissell, who as a former secretary to the Illegal Mining Committee, has withdrawn suit against the Special Prosecutor's Office following arrest.
Former Secretary of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bissell, has withdrawn one of his suits against the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Lawyers of the former presidential staffer revealed in court this morning that they have instructions from their client to withdraw the application seeking to quash an arrest warrant that was issued against him by the OSP. Now, this comes a day after Charles Bissell reported himself to the OSP and was arrested, interrogated, and granted bail. Meanwhile, there are 2 more cases from Charles Bissell against the Office of the Special Prosecutor still pending. The 2 are a human rights case where Charles Bissell is raising allegations of human rights abuse, and another challenging the powers of the Office of the Special Prosecutor to investigate him despite being cleared by the Ghana police.
So Charles Bissell has withdrawn the case against the OSP, one of the cases. Yesterday, I was watching what the viewers are saying, and counsel Selom says that sometimes you just don't have to attach legal thing to everything. Sometimes you understand.
It wasn't Sameson's song for him that caught your attention.
It was Sameson's song was okay, but counsel, he said sometimes when you even see the police and the police is like, you're at fault, just say, oh, I'm sorry, if the need be, and just move on.
I mean, but this is not a case where you can just go and tell the OSP that I'm sorry, then we'll end it. I mean, this is a very serious corruption case brought against him. Mind you, it's 2 of it. First one from the announced expose on the corruption that went on in the IMSIM, that's the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. Then, of course, the reports from the venerable Professor Frimpong Boateng on corruption activities and why the IMSIM didn't really work. So those are very two serious allegations against him. I mean, because of the fact that it threatens our very existence as a people, because you are talking about, see, we've heard from Professor Gordon and those in academia that we are on the verge of having to import water if we don't get our act right again in the fight against illegal mining. So I think these are very serious things, and I've always maintained that the whole his disposition really in the whole, since this whole issue came up, has not been the best. You've been invited by the OSP. Just go there, go and listen to the case, go through the interrogation process, and that is it. But to say that the case was already in the courts, so the OSP didn't have jurisdiction to listen or to investigate it, for me was quite needless, because at the end of the day, you've still gone, you've been arrested, you've been given bail. Now, if you are as clean as you'd want the whole of the country to believe, at the end of the day, if proper work is done, if you have indicated, fair enough. If not, you should be made to face the full consequences of the law. So for me, I think that it's a good step that he's gone. Now that he's gone, he's also withdrawn some cases. So, I mean, it means that progress is being made on the case. In the coming days, we'll have a clearer picture of what the situation is like. But in all of this, my concern is that we don't forget what really we are fighting in this, in that we have to put an end to galamsey. So we could do all of those legal gymnastics. We could do all of, it's important. It's very key that we go through them. But one eye should also be on the fact that whilst we are in Accra doing the legal things, people are also still out there mining illegally there, and that is where the focus should also be.
So let's go stay in court, because the minority leader, Dr. Kisela Tuforsen, he has secured a court order to compel some persons who will be mentioned in this particular incident to testify as part of his defense.
Now, moving on, the minority leader, Dr. Kaisel Atoforsen, has secured a court order to compel the attendance of former Minister of Health, Alex Segbefia, Seydou Kotoma, a former Controller and Accountant General, Patrick Nimo, former Budget Director at the Ministry of Health, to testify as part of his defense. The former Deputy Finance Minister is standing trial for counts of causing financial loss to the state in the purchase of 50 ambulances. Dr. Atoforsen, who was asked by the court to open his defense, has so far called only one witness, an officer from Stanbic Bank who was subpoenaed. However, his lawyers on Thursday revealed in open court the difficulty in securing the attendance of his witnesses, even though some have filed witness statements. The legal team, after bringing this fact to the attention to the court, made the application for the writ of summons. But before that could be moved, Justice Efiasewa Sarebutre urged counsel to take notice that issuing the summons means if the witnesses do not appear, the court is at liberty to issue a warrant for their arrest. Lawyer Dr. Aziz Bamba made the prayer regardless. The court then granted the application for the three.
So, Dr. Kisela Tuforsen, he is standing trial for count of causing financial loss to the state and the purchase of 50 ambulances, and he has secured court order to compel the individuals that were mentioned in the report there, or in that insert there, to testify as part of his defense. But you are still watching CNR Extra here on CTTV, still to come. Rising violence against Ghanaian referees threaten football integrity, with female referee assaulted in disturbing incident. Kindly stay with us. We'll be back with more stories.
You're a whiz kid that collects straight A's in your sleep, a brainy brains that aces quizzes without even trying, or a clever clogs that knows just about everything, then there's one more battle you have to win: the Literacy Challenge. The nationwide search for the best junior high student is on. Think it could be you going home with 10,000 Ghana cedis and a glitzy trophy? Then, in not less than 600 words, write a story that ends with the following statement. The happiest people do not have the best of everything, they make the best of everything they have. Stories should be written in your own handwriting with the deadline of Saturday, the 15th of July 2023 in mind. Submissions must include an endorsement by a parent or guardian and their full contact details. And once you're done, shoot off your entries to the front desk of City TV or City FM. Or you can send entries to PO Box GP 14123 Accra Central. For more inquiries, call 0558 973 973. The Literacy Challenge 2023 is powered by City TV, supported by City FM, and is sponsored by the Ghana National Gas Company, Ribby Crunchy Biscuits by M4 Foods, and SIC Insurance PLC.
You're welcome back. You're watching CNR Extra here on CCTV. You can join us with your thoughts, submissions, and comments via WhatsApp line 0204447033. Let's bring you some more stories. The increasing violence against Ghanaian referees has threatened football integrity, with female referees assaulted in disturbing incident. Let's bring you that insert there.
Now, over the past few months, incidents of violence against Ghanaian referees are on the ascendancy, putting the beautiful game in jeopardy. The latest attack is on a female referee, Abdul Rahman Sakina Nasara, during a Women's Division 1B League match in Tamale. City Sports' Evans Sofuchu Manso has filed this report on the disturbing rise in abuse and physical attacks targeting local referees.
Referees, the custodians of fair play and integrity on the football pitch, are facing threats to their safety and well-being. On Saturday, June 17, 2023, in a Women's Division 1B League match in Tamale at Game Center 3, female referee Abdul Rahman Sakina Nasara was viciously attacked by Tiyumba Ladies FC head coach Idrisu Suheiru Napari. The match was abruptly halted in the 38th minute due to the coach's invasion of the field and assaults on the referee. The Ghana Football Association swiftly condemned the attack, expressing deep concern. The GFA emphasized that referees play a crucial role in maintaining the integrity of the game and called for an immediate end of such behavior. The FA says it will work closely with law enforcement agencies to identify and bring the culprits to justice. Alex Corte is referees manager at the GFA, and he wants an example made of Coach Napari.
We hardly hear of such, incidents in the women game as compared to the men's game. And so for us, it came to us as a surprise because of some of these things. But then, so for me, I think that going forward, what we have asked the region to do is to pursue this matter, make sure that at least we set an example, we use this man as an example to others who would also even want to think of going or maybe performing such acts. And so we are on the ground, and we are urging the Regional Football Association to ensure that this man is brought to book, at least if some jail sentence is passed. And for this one, we wish to plead that people should not intervene. I mean, they should let the processes and the law enforcement agencies work. I mean, that is the only thing, or that's the only way we can bring some sanity into our game. And so if such thing happens, and then you get people going to play the, cheese and, all sort of people going to play on their behalf, then of course it will continue. But then if an example is set, if it's punished with jail over a certain period of months or years, I think that it will help, and then it will also bring some sanity into our game.
The assault on referee Sakina Nasara is not an isolated incident. A footballer, Joseph A.J. Oting, has been arrested by the Ablekuma Divisional Police Command for assaulting an assistant referee, Patrick Ejay Sapon, during a Regional Division 2 League match between Donfete Galaxy FC and Fentata Jenyame FC, played on May 24, 2023. Also in May this year, 14-year-old Catch Them Young referee Elijah Ada was assaulted by football administrator Mohamed Yaya during a juvenile district game between Bolga All-Stars Babies and Boyson FC in the Upper East region. These acts of violence not only endanger the safety of referees, but also undermines the spirit of fair competition that football stands for. City News has also been speaking to some key stakeholders in Ghana football on the recent attack on Ghanaian referees.
That is absolutely unacceptable. It's absolutely and totally unacceptable. You don't do that. You don't do that in football. You don't do that in life. And I believe the authorities will actually take up the appropriate measures, and I'm sure it's going to be dealt with according to the law. It's embarrassing. I'll say.
This is very, very, very sad. But Jude, you are in the sporting or the football field. Why is this thing happening? Is it a way that maybe if the match is not going in favor of one side, then they have to now fault the referee for what is happening there, then the referee is being attacked?
I mean, to be very fair, I don't think it's a case in isolation in Ghana. I mean, I'm saying that because elsewhere, even in very developed parts of the world where football is very big, that we see every now and then instances of referees being heckled. Quite recently, the person I consider one of the greatest managers in world football, Jose Mourinho, he's been given a 4-match ban for heckling a referee. But what we see here is...
Why did he heckle the referee?
He felt that the referee wasn't fair in the
so that didn't go in favor of...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I'm saying what we see here is the violence and the physical assault attached to it. So a lot of the time we see people taking, missiles, sticks, whatever, wanting to physically injure the person. And that is where I find it deeply worried. I mean, Philip, if you should assault somebody on the street, right, it's going to be a police case. The police are going to come inside the matter and you'll be dealt with as the law says. But for the longest time in Ghana football, every time an instance like this was reported, what we saw is that football people will find a way to manage it within the circles. So they allow the GFA rules and statutes to apply, some sanctions to be meted out here and there, and that would have been the end of it. But we've been saying for quite some time that, see, this is a purely criminal issue. When somebody assaults someone, even if it's on the football field, even if it's in the dressing room, it's a criminal case, and allow the police to come in. And I think in quite recently, we've seen that. So in the report, Ivan Sofochuma also mentions the fact that in Ablekuma, a player has been arrested for assaulting an assistant referee. Now we've seen the coach also arrested for assaulting the female referee. I think when we allow for the police to come in and now deal with the issue like a criminal issue and not necessarily a football-related issue, we'll begin to see a reduction in the instances of such assaults. And I've always maintained that it takes away from the beautiful game. Already, we are struggling to grow the game here. The GFA campaign of Bring Back the Love hasn't particularly been successful. And the very little things we are holding on to enjoy the game, it's been taken away by these reckless acts of insanity. And for me, I've always said that we need to put a stop to it. And I'm particularly glad the GFA is allowing for the police to come in and do the investigation and prosecute. And I believe that when we prosecute 1, we prosecute 2, 3, 4, it will begin to lead to a behavioral change in the way we go about some of these things. It makes absolutely no sense. I mean, football is a game of it could decisions, right? It could go your way, it could go against you. Whatever it is, I don't think it's appropriate. It doesn't make any sense at all. And the former GFA vice president was saying, Fred Papo, I mean, why would you want to do this in a game? It doesn't make any sense. You don't do it in life, real life, so you shouldn't do it when you find yourself having to play the game. So I hope it's a learning curve, and it's also serves as a detriment, really, so people don't toe that line. I believe that when the prosecution is enforced and it reaches its logical conclusion, you go to the end of the matter, it will deter so many other people from towing that line. So we want to commend the GFA and the police for acting swiftly in arresting this I don't even want to call it, they are clearly not a gentleman, this reckless,
barbaric.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Because I don't know why someone will officiate match and at the end of the day you just attack them.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a very sad situation.
So reckless.
But let's move away from this story. And the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, he has condemned taxation on sanitary pads.
The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Bagbin, has strongly criticized the imposition of taxes on sanitary pads, describing it as a cardinal sin. The issue was brought to the attention of Parliament through a petition submitted by various civil society organizations urging the removal of taxes on sanitary pads. Expressing his deep dissatisfaction with the taxation of sanitary pads, the Speaker emphasized the need for immediate government action to address this concern. City News' Ayikun Okan reports.
A group consisting of civil society and non-government organizations on Thursday marched up at the entrance of Parliament wearing red shirts and wielding placards which suggest that they are not in support of taxes imposed on sanitary pads by the government. Subsequently, the group petitioned Parliament urging the House to take steps in ensuring that the taxes are scrapped.
This is about the taxes on sanitary pads. We are saying that it needs to go away. We can't continue something as basic and, humanity at its core, at its base, like periods. I mean, of all the natural things there are, this is the most natural. You can talk about condoms. I've heard arguments about condoms. Somebody can't choose to use a condom or not. I've heard people talk about giving birth, childbirth. I'm like, you can choose to have a child or not. When it comes to periods, I mean, as a female, as soon as you hit a certain age, whether you want to or you don't want to, you will have your periods. There's no choice here. It just is that natural. So, I mean, taxing sanitary pads at best is unquestionable. It's something that should not happen. And we are not just talking taxes, we are talking luxury taxes. I mean, what is luxury about wanting to manage your period? All of us have sent petitions and things like that over time. Nothing has happened with them. Today we are here, representatives, to show our displeasure. If nothing is done, we will keep demonstrating and we will come back in our numbers.
Reacting to the petition on the floor of Parliament, the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, said the imposition of taxes on sanitary pads was a cardinal sin.
I just had to suspend the House because we had a group picketing outside, and I invited the leadership, and the issue they raised was a very serious issue. My attention was drawn to it already. Why should we, as members, honorable member, why should we pass a law imposing tax on sanitary pads? This is unconscionable. It's a cardinal sin. The House shouldn't have allowed it at all. This House shouldn't have allowed it. You know the impact of that law on the human resource development and on the development of this country. It's immeasurable. That is why I suspended sitting and had to attend to them. I have a copy of the petition, and we have to take immediate action to prevent whoever is the minister proposing that thing to take it off. The next budget, it must not appear, it cannot be a tax. Please, I take a very serious view on this matter.
In a statement on the floor of Parliament, the Minority Chief Whip Gavins Agboja urged the House to summon the Minister for Works and Housing to appear before the House and apprise legislators on measures being taken by the government to address perennial flooding in Accra.
The news reports suggest that a lady and two of her kids are currently missing since yesterday. I take the opportunity to commend the agencies still working to hopefully find them alive. We are also aware that some people are injured and lots of properties have been damaged. Mr. Speaker, we want to take the opportunity to commiserate with our colleague, Honorable Sly Teke, who is a member of parliament from that area. I suspect he's within the area now, trying to do whatever he can do as a member of parliament to help his people. We also understand that areas like part of Ofankor and Ashalaja, some areas have been cut off completely because of the flooding. And Mr. Speaker, the rains have just started. The Wager Dam is yet even to be spilled, and this calls for this House to probably call upon our respected colleague, the Minister responsible for Works and Housing, to apprise the House as to what steps he is taking to avert further damage and loss of life. Mr. Speaker, you yourself have been credited in the past for being a minister when you were the Works and Housing Minister for spearheading aggressive desilting of our major drains in Accra. We are told currently that for the past 3 years, there hasn't been any major desilting of the major drains in Accra. And that is why I feel it is very important for the minister to apprise us.
More often than not, it occurs, the matters occur, and then we tend to call on Speaker, your good self, to make a referral, or rather expect the minister, the sector minister, to be called upon the House to apprise the House. And so what? It's high time our committee leaders also get a bit proactive. These disasters have been occurring, I mean sparingly, but it's been occurring in various places. We expected the Committee on Works and Housing to at least by now start visiting some of these places and also coming to brief the House. For us to wait until the disaster occurs before we come and be calling on the minister to come and apprise us, it's also unfortunate. But be it as it may, Speaker, I want to support my colleague on the call.
Minister responsible for Works and Housing be programmed by the Business Committee to appear before the House together with the Minister for Finance and to give us a brief on action being taken to make this a thing of the past. And so we expect that latest before the end of next week, these ministers should appear before us. If the substantive minister is not there, there is a minister of state at the Ministry of Finance who could come to represent him. I was informed that the substantive minister is traveled, but in case he's not available, the other minister will come to represent him. Honourable members, this is a very important subject matter, and I believe that one of the ways we could support national leadership to find solution is for us to pass the Budget Act. Honourable members, it's a very important subject matter. Because since I entered Parliament in 1993, we've had so many statements of this nature almost every year. And we are not finding solutions to the problem. And I think it starts from the priority setting. Priority setting. And Parliament must be involved.
Reporting from Parliament, my name is Ni Ayikwe Okain for City News.
So in Parliament, it started with the taxation on sanitary pads, then got into the conversation of flooding and how the sector minister has to appear before the House or committee to apprise the committee. But first, your thought on the taxation of sanitary pads.
I mean, Philip, I'm of the view that this is a huge test for our fiscal policy handlers. Why am I saying that? It's because of the reaction of AGI since this issue became prominent again. Mind you, it's been in the news for some time, then it resurfaced later this week. And I say that because if you listen to the arguments the AGI make, for instance, they have some compelling reasons, right? They make the point that, see, if you take away these taxes, it's going to, of course, push a lot more people into the importation business at the detriment of local manufacturers. And we've always said that our structure, the current structure of our economy is not the best. And it's the reason why we are so heavily reliant on the international capital markets, every now and then having to go there to go and borrow money, right? So let's take a new approach in making sure that we can be less import driven, we can move into more production. Mind you, this government came into government on the notion of becoming or moving the country from taxation to production, right? So, I mean, it's a very, very difficult thing. And I've never seen an issue so topical in Ghana where two opposing sides have been so right on the issue. Two opposing sides being the AGI and, of course, these activists or these women activist groups who are pushing for the cancellation of taxes. But I tend to drift towards the arguments from those proposing for the cuts in the taxes because of the fact that if you consider the production capacity of AGI, which is less than 30%, it's very difficult to understand how, even if the taxes are maintained, they are still able to go in and manufacture these things. Some other people have made the argument and they've said that we have to start from somewhere nonetheless, right? So maybe the quality is not as great as what we see on the market already, but somehow we still have to start from somewhere. Some have said that, see, even the use of these taxes, for instance, in their words, quote unquote, is an acquired taste. When we start with what we have and we build it, we can gradually get to the level where the comfort, the quality, its durability will be like those that are imported into the country. But that notwithstanding, like I said, I think it's a very big test for those in charge of handling our fiscal policy. Should we really cut it? Should we really give, or should we really put money into our local manufacturers for them to start it on a big scale? So that, but at the end of the day, I think that we should allow for some empathy in this. I mean, Philip, 20 cedis for a sanitary pad is incredibly expensive. I mean, a lot of the time we fail to take into cognizance the people it affects most, and those are school-going children. I mean, I've bought some before, and paying that amount of money for it is quite difficult. And mind you, there are so many school-going children in rural Ghana who can't afford it. Now, I understand 20 cedis is the cheapest there is on the market. Some time ago it was about 5 cedis, 4 cedis, 7 cedis. Now you're paying 20 cedis, 30 cedis, 40 cedis for it. I think it's very expensive. So in the meanwhile, while we try to find a lasting solution for it, I think government should try and meet our women halfway, right? I mean, Madame Tokonu's answer on this when she was arguing the vetting was quite interesting. She said for working women, they should be allowed to pay for it. For school-going children, we should find a way to help address it. Well, so I mean, and finally on this, I mean, a big ups to all of these organizations, NGOs who are doing marvelously well in that field, trying to help the University of Ghana GRASAC students, Women's Commission. They took this up. They've donated several of these sanitary products to people who, or school-going children who ordinarily will not be able to afford. I think this is the spirit. This is what makes us Ghanaian, that in very difficult moments like this, you get people showing empathy, showing care, and I think that's the way to go.
Let's see how this conversation goes, because it just wouldn't take one entity to address all these concerns. We know that some of the ladies also buy it like twice in a month, and it's so expensive. That's some 40 Ghana cedis and all that. But away from this story, the independent power producers, they have threatened power supply cut to the national grid from July 1, and they are demanding for interim payments. Let's bring you that insert.
Our first story, independent power producers have notified the Minister of Finance to cut power supply to the national grid beginning July 1, 2023 if the government does not give them an interim payment of 30% of the outstanding arrears. The IPPs at an emergency meeting agreed that if they do not receive their payments, they will not have the capacity to produce power beyond June 20. Now, members of the IPP chambers say that they are now unable to persuade their creditors
contractors, and other essential stakeholders to further withhold payment and maintain operations over what is owed them. Chief Executive Officer of the Independent Power Producers, Distributors and Bulk Consumers, Ablekuma Apetogo, has been speaking to CNR Business.
We've not received any response officially from the earlier ones sent. Well, from the very onset, we indicated our difficulties, our frustrations. You remember we wrote earlier in March, around 27th of March, indicating our frustration doing business with ECG. Basically, we are not receiving payment for our services. And the second reminder or second follow-up went, we have, on the same subject, we've not received any feedback on that. And we are sending a final reminder that we are not able to stretch ourselves beyond June 30th. It's just simple, we are unable to continue operation. We are very much.
So the IPPs, they are reminding government to do the payment because they say that they lack working cash to finance inputs such as chemicals for clean water for the terminal generators and other supplies, many of which were priced for foreign currency, primarily in the US dollars. So they are saying that government, that is the Electricity Company of Ghana and other stakeholders, must regard the reminder with seriousness it deserves and take its necessary actions. Else, we don't know whether doom so will come or not. But this is how we wrap up today's edition of CNR Extra here on CCTV. My name is Philip Milate. Many thanks for your time. I did this with Jude Bensa Duncan. Keep watching CCTV.
The day of a competition. From the shores to the pools to the beaches across the land, if you fancy yourself a competitive swimmer, this is for you. The CCTV National Swimming Championships is happening on the 15th and the 16th of July 2023 at the Trust Sports Emporium. To register, WhatsApp your name, age and contact details to 0558 973 973 or call 0205 973 973. The CCTV National Swimming Championships is brought to you by CCTV with support from 97.3 City FM and the Ghana Swimming Association. A.G. Wilson, Bella, Jeriel, Cleos, CLOB, Riguello, Serum, Ernest, Princess, city. Manuel. The Voice Factory is brought to you by Ebony Condoms. Ebony Condoms. Make it worth it. Eddie's Pizza. Eddie's Pizza. Can't beat that. And Nalo Solutions. Nalo Solutions. Making it happen. McBerry Twist Cupcakes. McBerry Twist Cupcakes. Simply irresistible. Copen Hospitality. Copen Hospitality. Tourism at its best. A.G. Wilson.
Always said I would know where to find love. Always told I'll be ready and strong enough. But sometimes I just felt I could give up. But you came and you changed my whole world now. I'm somewhere I've never been before. Now I see what love means. It's so unbelievable. So clear now. On my hands, you've got nothing to fear now. I was lost and you rescued me somehow. I'm alive, I'm in love, you complete me. And I've never been here before. Now I see what love means. It's so unbelievable. When I think of all I have and this